the destruction of civilizations, towns, and countries, mass killings of men, women, and children alike, and the devastation of society. What do these all have in common? Well, they are the catastrophic side effects of war. Throughout the ages, contrary to the beliefs of morally conscious people, many people believe that war, regardless of its severity, can be viewed as a stepping stone to future peace and tranquility, as is it thought to be a major motivator that has shaped the world that we live in today. Nevertheless, regardless of widespread assumptions regarding the topic, the negative aspects of war, especially the horror and the sickness of it, significantly exceed any favorable effects. This, along with the tragedies resulting throughout the span of the war, can be clearly seen and are portrayed in a very realistic manner, especially in the novel A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway, which is the novel that I will be highlighting for this assignment, as well as its literary theories, devices, themes, and parallels with other pieces of literature. To begin, in regard to dissecting the novel via literary theory, I decided to analyze A Farewell to Arms through a feminist criticism angle. The reason as to why I chose this approach is due to the fact that subsequent to reading the novel, it is apparent that Hemingway attempts to mask misogynistic attitudes towards females by fixating the reader's mind on the character Catherine, a nurse, by portraying her as an angelic and selfless woman. First, if we analyze Hemingway through a formalist lens in regard to his literature, it is clear that misogyny does not arise from his perfect depiction of Catherine. Nevertheless, it is his tendency to cast her down into the dirt as she plays the dependent, classic woman role in her society, which verifies the feminization of female characters in the novel. A props to this, prior to digging deeper into the text, my statement attempting to bring forward the deep-rooted misogyny in the novel is further justified when we see the following quote. "I was made to eat. My God, yes. Eat, drink, and sleep with Catherine." As we can see from the quote, Henry, Catherine's lover, is mainly infatuated with her due to his longings for indulging in good wine, food, and Catherine's body. In Henry's eyes, all of these things equate to the satisfaction of basic human needs, thus dissolving Catherine into a person devoid of any meaning or real importance. Furthermore, even when Catherine is pregnant, her thoughts and concerns continue to center entirely around Henry's happiness. During her intensive labor, Catherine's only worry is not getting through the situation. It is her self-conscious thoughts trying to appease Henry in every single way, which causes her to wonder if she's a burden to Henry. Yet, considering Henry's misogynistic tendencies, it would not be shocking if he did feel this way. This construction diminishes Catherine's character, thus allowing Henry and Hemingway to view her both as an object and an obedient subject, willing to run to their beck and call. All in all, there aren't many female characters in the novel, which make the few there are very memorable. They all work as nurses or prostitutes, and in many respects, they fulfill typical gender roles or even female stereotypes. However, in order to achieve happiness and do the right thing in a war-torn planet, they transgress and question gender stereotypes throughout the span of the novel, attempting to be freed from their shackles of radical anti-feminism that society has deemed them to. Moving on, the next part of the novel that I will cover is its fluent and impactful usage of literary devices in order to enhance the plot and create further understanding for viewers, assisting them in gaining insight on the situations that the victims of war encountered. The literary devices play a major component in the novel, and the most frequently used devices that have the most substance include irony, symbolism, and imagery. To begin, the title itself is quite ironic, as Henry bids farewell to the war, the weapons, the army, and the savagery, just to be with Catherine. He finally finds a reason to survive, and is successful in finding the meaning for what he was looking for. He plans his future with Catherine, where they flee to Switzerland and have a baby, and become a content and complete family. Unfortunately, due to unexpected reasons, Catherine dies while giving birth, and so does the child. Thus, Henry ends up having to bid farewell to both. And Although he deserted the army in hopes of a brighter and happier future, he once again was left with endless pain and agony. Furthermore, Hemingway also uses symbolism throughout the novel in order to express complex ideas while giving the reader a visually sensory experience. In this case, an example of symbolism is when Hemingway uses water and rivers as metaphors. Rivers signify a rebirth and a farewell to arms. They represent the end of one life and the beginning of another. Henry, who is already tired of conflict, no longer believes in war heroes. He is captured while walking with his fellow soldiers after a retreat and fears that he will be executed. He jumps in the river with a splash, allowing the current to carry him forward. As a result, he is able to save his own life. His rage was swept away along with the river and along with any duty. As a result of this plunge, it was as if Henry had been reborn when he emerged from the water. And finally, the use of imagery is artfully used throughout A Farewell to Arms, and demonstrates how well Hemingway is able to prepare the reader for events to come. As they remain in Milan, Catherine Barclay says, "I am terrified of the rain. I am terrified of the rain because sometimes I see myself dead in it, and sometimes I see you dead in it." She continues, "This premonition is terribly scary and shockingly realistic." Hemingway adds a sense of gloom by saying, "She was sobbing. She stopped crying after I soothed her. However, it continued to pour outside." He contrasts sharpness with natural visuals. Furthermore, poetic devices, despite not being very prominent in the story, additionally play a significant part. This can be seen especially in terms of the repetition device in the following excerpt. "Maybe she was lying thinking about me. Blow, blow, ye western wind." Well, it blew. And it wasn't the small rain, but the big rain down that rained. It rained all night. You knew it rained down that rained. Look at it. One of the things that stands out in the sentence above, which raises curiosity for the reader, is the repetition of words. Hemingway obviously had a specific purpose in mind, using repeated words, especially since he does it frequently throughout the book. For me at least, the device gives the repeated word greater resonance, fixing its image clearly in the reader's mind. In the sentence above, for example, the resonant words, blue and rain, contribute to the sentence's mood. On top of this, there are various examples of allusions given in the novel, such as the following quote, "You're not Catholic, are you?" "No, but they say that St. Anthony is very useful." In this quote, the novel is biblically alluding to St. Anthony, who represents religion, superstition, loss, and hope. Catherine is not religious, but follows religious ideas to avoid losing things that are close to her. Moving on, as highlighted earlier, one of the most prominent themes in A Farewell to Arms is fear and courage, and the harsh realities of people's lives throughout war. This relates to the poem Dulce et Decrum Est by Wilfred Owen, as they both illustrate the relationship between reality and heroic ideals via two central themes, patriotism and its false glory, and the horrors of war. Dulce et Decrum Est truly captivates the traumatic impact war has on humans, expressing how emotional or physical pains will not get better with time, and how the lasting trauma effects of war barely level out to the arrogance and glory of the war. This poem also relates to A Farewell to Arms because it shows the romantic and heroic parts of patriotic death and other sacrifices for good. Furthermore, another piece of literature that relates to A Farewell to Arms is Still I Rise by Maya Angelou, due to their common themes of oppression of women and addressing the lack of feministic views in society. The common link between the two in this case is the fact that both female characters in each piece attempt to rise or persevere through the oppression and stereotypes they face due to either their gender or skin color. Disregarding the fact that Maya does a much better job in the sense of overcoming her oppressors, Catherine is still oppressed due to the fact that despite her attempts to overcome misogynistic characters, Catherine is treated as a lesser being, in a sense, compared to the men in the novel. Finally, a props to relating A Farewell to Arms to the two poems. After further research, it is evident that it has very close relations to the novel The Wars by Timothy Findlay, in regard to the theme of the hardships of losing a loved one in the war. The Wars is a story following Robert Ross, a young Canadian who enrolls in the army during World War I, following his sister's untimely death. Robert's attitude towards life dramatically alters. Robert becomes unstable and is unable to think rationally, thus sending him through a downward spiral, ridden with remorse. The following events in the novel after this incident only further worsen Robert's mental health, such as being raped and killing a horse, causing him to lose faith in humanity, eventually leading to him dying at the age of 25. This is quite similar to the themes towards the final part of A Farewell to Arms. The reason behind this connection is due to the fact that as Catherine approaches her death, the war returns to Henry's conscience. Even though Henry professes distrust in God throughout the novel, he there falls back on prayer in a sense of losing faith and returning to the one thing he did not believe in for salvation. In the end, there's an inescapable reality. Everyone dies. Henry and Catherine escaped the war and tried to live a life only within the confines of their love, but any success they had was an illusion. The realities of war and morality destroyed their fantasy. Now, Henry has nothing to do more than bear his loss by being stoic about the entire situation.